Let us pray. Father in heaven, we thank you, we bless your name for our lives. We thank you for this session to discuss about our academic excellence. That we pray, Father, your spirit to inspire all of us in the name of Jesus. Father, we're just instruments in your hands. Pray that you speak through us. And let this your word have meaning and impact to the heart of the listeners in the name of Jesus. Also, as we're speaking, we're also learning. Help us to learn from people we're interacting with, learn from each other in the name of Jesus. Father, have your way. In Jesus' name, I pray.
Great, like you already said about it. Talk briefly about it, and then this is mostly for y'all to ask questions, whether about academic pursuits or in life, questions. I think that's so I'll let folks try to. Sorry.
Okay, right. Okay, start. So you give me templates.
Yeah.
All right, so my Friday. I was born on Friday, that's what I did. Mechanical engineer by training. I did my undergrad in Nigeria, University of Guinea. Then I came to the US to do a PhD in mechanical engineering because I was passionate about renewable energy storage. Then after a while, my interest changed because life happened, right? Sometimes life happens to you because you cannot get a desired program to study, you're interested in robotics, not get robotics in the school or something. So in my case, the professor I was going to work with transferred to a different school. I'm stuck here. I need to figure out something. I decided to work on thermofluids. How many of you have done physics? Physics, yeah. So thermofluids is an aspect of physics that talks about heat transfer. You want to understand how the fan cools your body. Like, come to me. Right? So that's what I do. And we passed like 4 years, 5 years, worked with a company that does semiconductors, biomaterials. Currently, I work with Tesla, trying to accelerate transition to sustainability, which most of you like. And yeah, I think that's like a brief picture about me from myself. Just trying to tell you that my journey may not be the most exciting one, but I'm sitting here letting you know that anything you aspire for, anything you want to become, you can be that thing. I started from Nigeria. I don't think I have as much privilege as most of you, but I have something called discipline and tenacity, which I think will set you apart. You guys study Proverbs 22 to 69 saying something about that. Hear that in mind, diligence in his business. It's not about talent. Talent will only take you so far, right? You need discipline to become consistent. That man is going to stand among kings, not among men. So I think if you want to take anything from what I've said and from my experience in life, I think one thing that worked for me, and I know is discipline, tenacity. Like in the face of difficulty, you're going to face challenging times. Now you're applying to schools or you're already in school, and the challenges you face is probably your homework or your quizzes. Like that's going to be the tip of an iceberg when it comes to reality. You're going to face tough times. You need tenacity to make stand. And one thing we should have come first is God. Like we are going to talk more about this, but without having the backing, without having the mind that there is a supernatural being, God, backing you, supporting you in difficult times, it's hard for you to continue. Like you tend to be discouraged because there's no one to look onto. But I knew that throughout my journey, God was faithful. I had God to look onto, like it's my faith. Even when things are not going as I want, I knew God was there. And I think that's the first thing that you should think about if you want to be in any enterprise. School, life, the first thing you need to think about is the way of the Lord. Because that's the only way you can have good success if you have the Lord imprinted in your heart. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, I think starting off with that period because of him. So I was born here, but I did do my junior high school, something my parents had planned way before any of us were born, and they were like, yeah, when their kids reach the age of going to school, they're going to Nigeria. And in my head, I was like, I used to do that because anyone who went to Nigeria was like a punishment. But in the moment, I definitely hated it. I would say mostly the first year, because it's such a culture shock going from the US to Nigeria. And then one, I was 10, and then I was meeting family I didn't know. My dad is the youngest in his line of like siblings. And then on top of that, I was staying at the boarding school. So it was just like all types of things at once. And I very vividly remember my plane landing and like driving to our my aunt's house on the Caribbean was like no light. I was like, this is not it. um, we thank God for grace. Long story short, I actually ended up enjoying my time by my second year and stayed for that summer through my third year. Came back, I had a baby about 2-3 weeks before high school was supposed to start in the US, and I didn't have anywhere to go. And prayed about some stuff. My dad was like, oh, there's this like application for in New York or something like specialized high schools. And you take a test to go to that high school. And all my dad do was buy me the books, and he locked me in the library and said, like, study and take the test. Thankfully, things went well. I got into a school there, and then from there, I went to Brown for both undergrad and med school, and now I'm at Mass for general surgery. Is what I'm doing. All that to say that there are many hiccups within that journey. Even though I really went straight through, and some people take, we'll get into details about that. Some people take breaks between college and med school if that's something you're interested in. Thankfully, things lined up for me in a way that I didn't have to take the SCAPs. I got admission to med school from high school, and things just went straight through. But that journey is not the same for everyone, right? And there's no like one perfect journey for medicine. That's what you're interested in. We're here to talk about academic development. But that's just all to say that as long as God is in it, put him at the center, and you're praying diligently about what you want in life, that you can by the way. One thing that I thought that I was going to do all throughout high school, all throughout college, all throughout med school, all my essays were about CT surgery, which is cardiovascular surgery. Come to find, like, now I'm in residency, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely not it. I said, yeah, let me open your eyes to see the lifestyle. She said no. So when God is in it, right, you guys are that. So now we'll just open it up to questions about whether your personal journeys, where you are, whether you want some insight in something. The floor is open. I guess maybe let's go around and kind of gauge like what are you interested in? So Tay, how about you start? Yeah, do you know where are you currently in life in terms of school, and then do you know what you're interested in doing long term? And again, it's okay if you don't know, or pray about that.
Yeah, for me, right now I'm preparing to get back to school in September. I came here last December, family relocated. I was studying medicine in Nigeria, going to those who know where we, and I was going to my fourth year. For coming here, changed. And have to get a graduate degree, then get to med school, things like that. So I was able to process all that, get the admission. So right now I'm still a student who I'm working at the moment. So yeah.
Are they making you start from the jump from
Yeah, I started doing that because I'm starting from the second year.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank God you got
Hi, for those of y'all who don't know me, my name is Joe Page, and I just recently came to the United States. I'm from Liberia, Africa, and I'll be attending college at Bunker Hill, and I'll be doing cybersecurity. My name is Joseph again. Currently heading into my second year at Reed College, Northern, like computer science, but I also passionate about sports. So I want to get into the analytics side of that, maybe coaching. That's what I'm doing right now. So, looking forward to that. Basketball.
I guess I'll leave this here. I'm Abigail, and I'm starting my first year at Northeastern in Boston. So I just in business medicine. And right now I'm just studying also like between med school or PA school. So it was me. One of the exposed in the space community. Once you make it 3 years in over there, I was teaching when I came here, everybody doing medicine, all this. So it's really challenging for me. But with God being my help, I'm trying to it's
Before we move on, it sounds like was teaching something you enjoyed when you were in Africa? Yeah. And was that something you enjoyed?
Homeschool.
Yeah. So.
I said, yeah, it was fun.
Oh, not often you find someone who can do it. I would say, so are you going back to school just to fit in, or are you going to school to go back to doing what you do?
Yeah, so the school so that's patient having, so I'm trying to do the nursing.
Okay.
But I know I'm working towards it and then I'll get there.
Okay.
I'm looking for
What year are you in medicine? Good. All right. Darn right. I love it.
Nothing that's studies.
Yeah, I'm going to my third year. I'm environmental science. So for me, it's I came in environmental science and engineering. So 2 years I was like progress for that, created about it and realized that was not. I feel like for me, I chose that interest, sure, but also there is the pressure, right? Engineering, so I was like, I have a sister at school, sister who did like public health, but she's also in the health field. So to my parents, it's very much med school, or my dad was like, right. So thinking about it was that kind of pressure, and she did undergrad in engineering. So I kind of felt that pressure to take engineering. So the environmental science was actually more interested. So now I'm switching to environmental science. So with that, and they're very open more doors in that possible possibility, but definitely praying about the next part of it. So interesting. So
hi again, my name is Great. I came to the US in 2021. I was in University of University of Medicine. I came to the US and I became pregnant for a while, and I transferred to nursing. And because I had a conversation with my advisor, and I thought nursing was a good treatment. And then I realized you're not doing all the courses that is required for being organic chemistry. I'm not going to do organic chemistry in nursing, and yeah, that's going to be goal regardless of how I get there, whatever treatment could be. I wanted something in the health field. So a lot of honestly, me choosing nursing this kind of pressure from like when people are over here. Nursing is way. If you keep going straight to med school, you work for a few years, like years, and then go to med school. Like nursing is the best part. But I'm realizing that me doing nursing, if you're going to med school, and I'd rather not in there myself. So right now, I'm in the process of deciding where to transfer to consulting outside. But yeah, if you have any idea when you're pre-med down or maybe too much to I would love that.
Hey, I'm Grace, so again, and I'm currently a pre-med student, at the Breakout there. I've been doing that for a long time. I'm already here, so I've never really gotten an opportunity to try other things outside of pre-medicine, volunteering at the hospital, shadowing. But this summer I decided to try something new. So I'm currently doing an internship at the hospital with a shadow lab student and doing a lot of experiments with like wet lab, bench work, and I'm also volunteering in like a health education program in Ghana. So I'm trying to find out other things about me and just see where that's going. It's where I am.
This is trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, trouble.
Yes. All right. Here, you can introduce yourself.
I'm really working. I think about I'm nice Wednesday for my life.
Oh, so I took note down, and I'm like medicine, computer science, nursing, there's one environmental science and policy. This is good. You know, when we're planning this, I had this in mind. 3 blocks. You're gonna have engineers, you're gonna have medicine, and you're gonna have maybe law, but we don't have that now because yeah. Because typical Nigerian home is like you study medicine, engineering, law, or you're a bastard. But you're not my child. You know, like they stereotype us into these categories, which they have good intentions, but they will not bring the best out of us. It is in America, you're in America, and you can do a lot of things. There's something that came to my mind. I don't know if people quickly comment on Faith. She's like, she wants to look like pre-med. Because I was thinking like you can do a pre-med in nursing, take those regular prerequisite courses that you need in med school, and that suffices.
So yes and no, only because it can be school specific. It sounds like your end goal, like you already know what your end goal is, which is med school. So there's no point in dibbling and dabbling things that will cause you extra work, may delay your timing. There's no point in doing that. If you already know for sure your end goal, great about it, and like med school is like the end goal, then like do the stuff for that end goal. It sounds like you were saying earlier that there's a lot of pressure and you know that nursing is a thing. And like pressure is something you'll get and you've all got to a certain degree, right? Whether it's through your parents, whether it's through the church, like there are people who will pressure you to do something, right? Or it's like, oh, your siblings doing this and that, like why are you not, adding up? And at the end of the day, like Pastor was saying, like, it's you that's gonna have to carry the burden of, we don't want to call it burden, but if you choose something that's not for you, then it'll be a burden, right? And I'll give an example with my family. I'm the oldest, so obviously, and thankfully, my parents never pushed us to do anything. I actually chose the route of medicine. My brother's a nuclear engineer. My brother before that, after that, is an architect. And the baby, who's now just graduated from college, she wanted to do medicine. And now that I know her full story, she wanted to do it because she thought that like I was like the thing to live up to. And granted, she's a baby, so she's getting pressure from like, this is what your sister did, this is what your brother did, this is what your other brother did. Like, you gotta live up to what everyone's doing. And then she started the route. She got into a pretty good program, Sophie Davis in New York. It's a 7-year program where you're automatically granted access to med school. You do 3 years of undergrad and you start with 4 years of medical school. Thank God she realized by her second year this was not for her. Because if she started that journey and then she forced herself to push through because society pressures what she thought was the pressure from her siblings, then she would be absolutely miserable. No matter what, like, no matter what career you choose, like the journey is not like, it's not roses and, there are buds, there are thorns, right? No matter what journey you choose. The question is, what passion do you have for what you're going for is what will drive you to that, right? So sure, medicine's tough, but so is law school, so is computer engineering, so is regular engineering, so is teaching. Teaching kids is very frustrating. Kudos to teachers. I have taught for a little bit, like in between colleges, I'll have some serious tenacity. But no matter what you choose, right, there's always going to be like difficult portions of it. And if you're passionate about it, then like you push through the rough part, the rough patches to get, to enjoy the glory portion of that job. But if you're pushing through for something you're not going to like, you're going to feel most miserable, right? And now you have to deal with that for either the rest of your life or then choosing late in your career, I don't want to do this. And now you have to start back, when you could have been done and with money, building your wealth, building your financial portfolio. Now you're stepping back and you're paying tuition again for some type of class credits, right? So the earlier you know, which is like, the message you just heard about the will of God, like constantly praying in every single aspect of your life, like God, what you want me to do, what next steps you want me to take, and having him get you there will be much better than trying to figure it out on your own and then make even all these stumbling blocks for yourself that you have to backtrack and do the right thing. So to long story short, don't do nursing if that's not the end goal. Do the classes meant for pre-med, right? Finish those classes. Ideally within your 4 years of college. What you're about to be starting, like are you second year, third year, trying to sophomore. So you still have time to like actually finish all your pre-med courses within 4 years. If you can do that, then all you have to do afterwards is to choose to, study for the MCAT by the end of your junior year, fourth year, or some people take post-bac years if they need additional time or need to bolster their grades up, right? That would be my suggestion, long story short. Forget the nursing pathway. That's not what you want to do. Don't bother about class because then you're also taking classes that are specific to nursing that have nothing to do with what you're going to do. It will, some things translate, but it's not like what you're going to need on the transcript when you're applying. So yeah.
Do we have like any first you might
We can talk more specific details afterwards so we can run through things in different states and whatnot to come up with a plan. But we can do that after, because that's gonna be more specific for you.
So I want to say something just general that covers everyone, which is the place of mentorship. Many of us, you know what you want to do. You don't even know why you want to do it. I don't know why I wanted to become a coach. I think later in life I realized that it's because I wanted to make money. It's a good motivation. It's not bad. I want to save life, I want to make money.
I want to too.
So I wanted to make money. After a while, it evolves. Your interest, your passion, things evolve with time. But at this stage, you have very limited information in terms of how to think about the big picture. You're smart, but you don't have that exposure yet. You need somebody who is ahead of the curve, like 5 years experience. You want to study computer science, cybersecurity. Do you know anyone who is doing something in that space? The example of Julie and Faith. She's able to say, Julie, from my experience, because she has done this like for 7 years now. She's like, it's going to be a waste of time. She's able to put that in perspective. And that's the case for almost everything. I think what I always do in my life is I try to seek for mentorship. Even now, I want to do this, I want to move to the next step. I already pray to God, and who am I going to talk to put me in the right context for this? If you want to study computer science, I can work on that. But people want to study computer science. And first, the question that comes to my mind is, why do you want to do this? Have you actually said that? Anything, computer science, medicine, why? There has to be a why, and it doesn't have to be a cliche. You can be honest with yourself. I want to do this thing because I want to make money. I want to do this thing because of my father, because of my brother. If you have not examined the reason why you want to do something, you should be careful about doing it, about proceeding. Because it's going to get to a point where you start questioning yourself and blaming someone for your decision. Like, yeah, actually, I don't want to do this. And because I don't want to do this, you find someone to blame for it, like the boogeyman, and it's perfect. And you start passing the buck of blames around, you know, you don't take responsibility, you don't overcome these challenges. But when you know that, yeah, you really wanted to do this thing, like I own it. And I'm not saying this to say at some point you will change your interests. You know, you could be doing mechanical engineering now, 3 years and like, nah, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to do computer science, I want to do medicine. That's fine. But every stage in your life, you have to prayerfully and thoughtfully make decisions. Don't just breeze into it. Anything you do, like you guys are doing great courses, right? Anything in practice, if you put the right amount of diligence and hard work, you're going to be successful. You're going to be fine. But are you going to be fulfilled? It's another question. I mean, it's a very difficult question to answer if you're going to be fulfilled. But one way you can start answering this question is, one, God, is this what you want me to do? We say is this what you want me to do, God? Like it's absolutely very important. I've made some decision in my life. I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I've made some decision in my life that, you know, I got to a point. What am I doing? So I came to talks, and most of my friends, after 2 years, you know, either working for Apple, Google, Facebook, right? You know why? They started computer science. Like, I can't question, oh my God, I want to do a good job. I want to work for Google, I want to work for Apple. The pressure, right? I wanted to work for this company. And you know what I started doing? I started taking courses on machine learning, watching YouTube videos, machine learning, data science, trying to just like finesse my way to get those skills. And this was distracting mechanical engineering. In fact, I should have written the name. Although I went for internship, it took 8 months from a academic session. But I think those distractions, like for good 1 year, I was distracted from mechanical engineering. I wasn't doing my research. I was pursuing getting skills to do computer science. And just like a man who is unstable, if you're indecisive, if you're unstable, you have nothing. Chase two things at once, you get none. So I wasn't an expert in computer science because I was confused. I wasn't also doing well in mechanical engineering. I wasn't positioning myself to get the jobs in mechanical engineering. Then in my third year, I getting pressure from my professor. Now you gotta give update on research. Man, I've been doing 9 months, almost a year trying to get into computer science. No computer science, no research. I was in the middle of nowhere because I didn't think through my decision. I didn't pray about it. I thought I knew what I wanted. Yeah, I wanted to make money by all this. I wanted to work for Google. Or I see those guys are, studying, doing lead code and whatnot, then I can get there. So I spent this amount of time not getting computer science. And in my third year, by the grace of God, things changed. Yeah, I want to do mechanical engineering. I'm actually well skilled in camera engineering. That's where I know I can be an expert. I saw enough that you just do something. You do something because you're going to be an expert. You believe that you're going to be an expert and you're able to keep your time and everything straight. Today, I study mechanical engineering. I work for Tesla. Like I work my ass off because of the amount of work hours was from this or everything from me, right? But I love this thing I'm doing. I can see meaning in everything I do. What I do now is I won't say it's more difficult than computer science. It's not, but it requires a lot of time. But every single day I do it, I'm tired. Think about it when I get home. I feel fulfilled by the decision I make. And I can also see a pathway, trajectory. Okay, now today I'm a senior primary engineer. Tomorrow, next 2 years, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a staff. And after this, I'm going to venture into the space. And maybe 5 years' time, 10 years' time, I set up a company, I become a consultant for this. And I'm rendering my services because I'm an expert in this. If you are really good at something, then what's going to happen to you? Job is going to come. Scholarship is going to come. Customers are going to come. you are going to create jobs for people. So what am I saying here? You want to do something, don't be swayed by bandwagon mentality, not even pressure as well. Not because of your father, not because of your mom, not because of your dad. There are some things you do because of them. They know better. They're like, yeah, we want you to be in church, we want you to study, we want you to work hard for this. But there are some things you shouldn't do because of anyone. It's going to be a decision, you're going to make that decision anyway, right? So I kind of like weaved a lot of things into this talk, but I think you get the point. And to crown this all, anything you find your hand doing, if you decide you want to do computer science, I will say you put in all the parts in it. It's from the scriptures, right? Actually, Matthew chapter 5. But whatsoever you have find it to do it with all your heart, correct? That's scriptures. So, and if God is admonishing that from us, so that's Jesus Christ, as soon as you do that, you also you want your life to be modeled according to Christ's teaching. Whatsoever you do with all your heart. And I'm going to be specific, I don't want to fake. If, and Jimmy will talk about something else. If you're studying medicine or computer science, right? I studied mechanical engineering, just try to draw a parallel from my life. Not the best, but I think this worked fine. I wish I knew about this like 5 years ago. I've gone to the moon. Okay, so I buried myself in things that I'm interested in. I'm a thermal engineer. I go to this YouTube channel of thermal engineers. Thermal engineering for what? Maybe for laptop, for rocket science, right? Then I listen to TED Talks. I listen to people just give seminar on that. During my playtime, I just play this on the background and it's going on. So what's happening here is you're unconsciously building your repository of these concepts. So sometimes somebody asks you a question about computer science, medicine, and you just unconsciously, you don't even know where it comes from. You just string your thoughts together, right? And also you're also able to see opportunities for growth, like opportunities to advance the field, because you're listening to different talks, you're listening to the latest advancements in the field, advances in the field, and you're like, oh, right, this should be the next direction. And this also comes down to applying for jobs. See how this is connected? You're well equipped, you know more than just the small time engineering. You can tie everything to the big picture. You know that you're also able to advance certain areas in mechanical engineering, right? Thermal engineering, computer science, medicine. And you come off as an expert and people want to listen to you and you get more opportunities for that, right? So I applied to just tell you how this worked for me. I applied to a company, I applied to Tesla, 4 different positions. I had 3 different interviews. And Tesla is a difficult company to get. Many jobs are difficult to get. Tesla is very difficult to get. I got 3 offers from the same company, 3 different things. And it becomes like a Friday, oh, please, can you come and work for me? Like, it's not because I'm a genius, because just a year before, I applied to over 200 positions and I got 0. So, like, what changed? I knew about this. So I started preparing myself for my field even before I was called to come and answer what I know. You don't start preparing for interview tomorrow. You don't start preparing for exams tomorrow when you have an exam. You start preparing long time before, right? So the day for the exam, it's no longer, oh, they're testing your knowledge, or you just want to see how well you can pass the exam. No, it's now you're not expressing what you know differently because your knowledge of that thing has been consolidated by just listening to this over time, right? Yeah, that's I'm gonna do
I would say 3 things on the question. One about the money, like if you're passionate about whatever you're doing, you'll find ways to make it work for you, right? You'll make money from it. I have a friend who, I have a friend who went to med school with me and like he did law school first, finished it, realized, yeah, that's not for me, and then went to med school. You can see how many years and also how much debt he's racked up. So don't, again, we've already harped on this like pretty significantly, but if money is like your driver than you when you've asked that why question for yourself and it was a financial pursuit, think again. I have friends who are in law school who graduated, they're working at top firms, making like great money, and they're absolutely miserable. I have a friend who recently was just like, yeah, I applied for 3 other jobs and she got some offers and she's moving for a law firm. You know what I mean? So it's not always about the money. If you're doing it for the money, you're not passionate about what you're doing, you're going to be miserable. Can't overemphasize that. Two, the importance of mentorship, as you said, very, very, very important. I think sometimes we have to learn what a good mentor-mentee relationship is, especially at least on this part, it's gonna be like you as the mentee. You know, sometimes you're always expecting your mentor to reach out and give you advice and tell you to do this and tell you to do that. But a mentor-mentee relationship is bi-directional. If you're always waiting to hear from the person, you know, to give you guidance, to give you this, to give you that, and you're not reaching out and saying, hey, just wanted to give you an update. This is how things are going. Hey, just wanted to check in. Do you have any advice about X, Y, and Z? Hey, just wanted to let you know, like every 3-4 months or something, like checking in and then giving them an update about where you are in life. That shows that you are, you know, you're very interested in that relationship. And as you pour into that relationship, they're gonna pour into you. I have a mentor that I've had since undergraduate, and like when I learned that mentor-mentee relationship about it being a bi-directional relationship, she has helped me in so many different ways. And to the point, like I consider her like a good friend. She takes me out for dinners and like it's great. It's a beautiful relationship, but that can only happen when you're pouring into it as much as you're hoping to pour into that. And then lastly, I know we're talking a lot about like academic development in the sense of like what you're doing within the 4 walls of your school building or pursuing a job. But part of academic development is keeping yourself sane, which means like developing yourself outside of that academic setting, right? So you said that you're very interested in sports, like, and it's interesting because you can find ways that your passions that are not necessarily academic can fuel your, you know, either your future profession or how you make money, right? Think about like, and we don't have anyone who wants to do that, but like people who, those basketball players, right? They might not be so great in school, but their passion for playing basketball and we see how much they make. It's like ridiculous, you know what I mean? So sometimes the things you do outside of like your academic like classroom and the classes you take can also inspire you for the profession that you choose, or you can find ways to blend all those things so that your passions can work for you, right? And help you make money. So those are just things I'll put out there. So we're just open the floor now for questions before they pull us into the large video. You guys are gonna figure it out. You guys all figured out?
It's maybe not a question back to you. I have a question for three.
Okay.
Because you mentioned how like, and I didn't know how that you are green, right? So then you're choosing something different. So how does that like, what are you learning in this like new thing that you decided it doesn't actually fit with green?
Yeah, it's more the first one is concerning microbiome lab. It's very different from what I was in the class in a lot of research. So this is like very short. So it's a little bit related to that, but it's more of like grad school. So you want to have to look at something different. And the other thing we're doing is more of the public health sector. So it's like I'm interacting with the community, how so it's a little bit related, but it's not. So it means having to just branch out.
Did you have an interest in these things and never had a chance to explore it?
Yeah. I felt like I was stuck.
That's what
Like
And I think that brings up another interesting point that, at least for me, growing up, especially as the first kid in my family, my parents just, you know, whatever, all they knew is what they knew, right? Like my dad never went to college, my mom went to nursing school. It was just like whatever they know is what they can impact, right? So I only knew what I needed. But once I got into college, I had already decided I was in bio. Mind you, when I stepped foot into college, I already knew I was going straight through for med school. So I could have chose to do anything one time. I could have chosen psychology. I could have chosen something. I could computer science. Like, I could have had the most chill college. If I went back, I would have definitely chose something a little more chill. But I did still enjoy bio. But I probably would have done like public health. And sometimes you only know what you know, right?
Yeah.
Now my sister, like I said, home was medicine and social work, and she absolutely loved, like, she loves that field. I didn't know anything about social work. I didn't know anything about PA school. I didn't know anything about NP. I didn't know anything about, like, and I'm sure there are different, sectors within different fields, right? Whether it's computer science, whether it's medicine. Sometimes we're so like, you have the blinders and the shutters on, and like all you see is that one thing that everyone does. And then it's great if that's what your calling is. But sometimes you need to like open up and talk to other people about what are the other potential things that I can do within this field, right? I have a friend that went to med school. She really did it because of her father. Her father passed away mid med school. She decided to like finish it. She did residency. She just graduated from the pediatric residency, and like she's only doing like outpatient clinic stuff. She wants to do most like consulting, and like that's great. There's also an opportunity, like even within medicine, if you want to go straight. I had someone straight from med school, get into residency, and went straight into the consulting business. That's also an advocate. So things like that, and just like opening up your worldview and not limiting yourself to just the things you know. Do a little bit of research, see what other things are out there, see if that's for you. You never know like what doors may open, or what opportunities may open.
No, no, I think people for yeah, so like sometimes I think it's frustrating. I come back from work and call my friend, I'm like, hey, Kelvin is this, Kelvin is driving me nuts. You know, I wake up around 7 a.m. and I already got an email from him that said around 6 and I got a response to this. But I'm taking that as part of the innards in my field, in my interest, because the moment I complete a particular task that's meaningful and impactful, it gives me this satisfaction. Like, yeah, look, there's so much work, but I also get satisfaction from what I do. So in that context, I would say that I will fulfill being an independent guy, to feel working as a family engineer. Again,
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it goes back to what I said earlier on about like no matter what you choose, it's gonna be like rough patches, right? They're gonna be things you don't actually like about your job. Um, but nothing's gonna be 100% roses, right? If that was, please tell me. Right? What I'm waiting for you to yeah. But at least within medicine, like I mean, going to I've been in you have to deal with, especially like I'm a Black female, right? I have to deal with that being this identity within a field that's predominantly like a white male society. And then you have to deal with like crazy patients. And then you have to deal with like very long hours. I remember in med school when we had our 30-year rotations, surgery was absolutely the longest time that I spent. Mind you, you're paying them to teach you. And you're there from 6 a.m. and sure, it closes at 6 p.m., but you're being with that student who's like 7, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. The surgery is still going, it's 10, 11 p.m. because it's like a big high pack case or whatever it is, and you're still there not getting paid. So like, yeah, but that was like, despite that being the longest of all my rotations in terms of like the hours I spent in the hospital, I was the happiest. And my roommate said I was crazy because it was just like how like you wake up so early and then back so late and like that was all your face doesn't make sense. But that's just to say that like again, they're gonna be thorns, they're gonna be like rough patches, things that aren't the most glorious portions of your jobs. But if like the good outweighs the bad and you're happy with that and that brings you fulfillment, which surgery does for me. I love what I do. I love going to the operating room. I love recently these past 2 years I've done research years and I've done a lot of global surgery work. I've been in Zambia, I've been to Honduras, I'm going to Ghana in January. Like just so many things that like bring me happiness is in this job that I do. So yes, I feel very fulfilled. And hopefully I pray that you all get to that point that no matter what you're doing, that feel fulfilled in the work that you're doing and hopefully impacting like the next generation. It's all about leaving a legacy. to do the same for themselves as well. And don't listen to those people that tell you you can't do it. I won't say names, but there was someone I remember was just like, "Can I do surgery? Aren't you going to get married?" I was like, "Who says I can't do both?" Don't let people limit, you know, what you set for yourself. And now those people are just like, "Oh my God, you know what I mean? So don't let people's shallow expectations of what they think you should be limit your full potential.
Yeah, but that one made you should be careful about who you listen to. Like I've listened to some people who sets me back just because of what they said. Oh, you cannot do it. Then I actually believe that. And I was acting according to that. I really want the moment you do something, it happens. It's like self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So
You have extra credit.
all right, thank you. Right. So it's like I'm very careful with someone that people I listen to. Tell me I cannot do something that I think I can do. Right, okay, thank you. No thanks. So be careful about people you listen to. And I want to find a very political way to say it, which is well, like I'm just gonna say it anyway. Anyway, like I'm gonna be careful listening to people who venture into something and you want to do that same thing and you will not successful in it. Because they probably have no good tale to tell you. Like the students who are the C in the class, he's going to tell you this professor is a terrible person. This professor is bad. There's somebody who has A plus, and people like, that's nice. They always respond to questions. It's like depending on what you want. Anything you're looking for, you're going to say it. I want somebody to encourage you, the person to go to. I shouldn't even give this advice. I think it's commonsensical that there are some people you don't reach out to for advice, right? For this part of life. And Jimmy said something about like not just academics. I also think aside from excelling academically, you also want to excel as a person. Like you want to think about yourself and develop yourself. You have the skills, you have the talents. It's going to take you only so much. You're probably going to stop as a senior or a staff camera engineer. You want to be an executive, you need something else. Like you need that people skills. And you need to be somebody who, like, you have someone of integrity, you're someone we can trust. There's some other characters that you need to be as a person. So in who will you excel and thrive? And you live in a global world, you live in a world of communication and speaking. You want to build that. You want to be somebody who's like able to get yourself out in that space and talk. A lot of white people do this. They know nothing and they stand up and talk so much about that thing and people just believe them like, no, you say anything, just doesn't even make sense. But people believe them and they get promoted. So like aside from academics, we also want to think about other areas. You yourself, somebody is human, right?
Even like bring it back to the like obviously in church, but like can't but as you're building your academic pursuit, you're building your social life, you're building your network of people, you build your spiritual. And like I can't even like, and I think we've all seen we're all within that age group where a lot of people leave the church. Let's be frank, right? There are people that you grew up with from children's church that they're gone. They're nowhere to be found. And if you know those people, reach out to them. Make sure that that spiritual life is fine. But like making sure that you are building upon that. Joseph and Abigail were at the churches that I went to when I was in med school and undergrad. I tried my best never to miss a Sunday. You know what I mean? I participated in church where there was like orchestra or helping out with X, Y, and Z, like making sure that as you're building all these other aspects of your life, that your spiritual life is not putting that the wayside. Because you'll come back and find yourself wandering, how did I get so lost? And sometimes you don't even realize that you're lost because you're just that lost, right? So whatever you do, no matter how big you get, how much your bank account is holding, no matter how powerful you get, you become the president of the United States. It will come from here, amen. Who knows?
Just appoints me secretary of defense.
Before health backgrounds. Make sure that you put the things of God first. And when you put God first, God will show you.
So you mentioned like reaching out to maybe like reach out to people for mentorship, but also when you're trying to explore what options are in a career function. So what are practical ways? Like, I get kind of like, I don't know, where do you find this people kind of all is that? And a second question was, how do you utilize your summers or how do you utilize this for some members to manage summer really
That's a good question. I would say that for me, you know, how to figure out other things in these fields. I know that there are a bunch of like job fairs, for example. I didn't really understand the essence of them until like my sister discovered like a job fair and like and you're like, oh, I have the prereqs for this and this sounds interesting. How can I if I have the basis that they're looking for, maybe there's something I'm interested in, right? But also just talking to people who you already know who are in specific jobs, you can ask them, they know other people with similar degrees, like what are they doing? What are the other options? Research online, just seeing ways that you can use your degree in other ways and just seeing how other people have done it. You have access to the internet, which gives all types of exposure. So certainly just Googling things, something will pop up. And if you're utilizing summers, I think that gears to again, trying to set up the stage for what you want to have in the future. Sometimes you don't know exactly what that is, but at least you have like the general gist of kind of what you want to pursue. So for example, if you're like, oh yeah, I'm interested in medicine, but maybe I'm also interested in like consulting, you can find you can look at those two things and say, which of those do I need to find or have things done sooner for? For example, for medicine, if you're planning to like apply, you should have like the classes done at a certain time and all that stuff. And for consulting, that just requires expertise within a certain field, right? So that can take years to build up, it doesn't necessarily require like a succinct time. So those things that are more time sensitive, I would say try to pursue that in like a less like academic setting, like for the summertime, whether it's an internship, whether it's volunteering, whether it's whatever form it may be, to get that exposure. And sometimes you can do more than one thing, like work research is doing more than one thing within a summer, right? If you have that capacity. Sometimes it's not always, always something that you have time to do. But if you have that time to pursue one or two things of the summer that, explore your interest in general, go for it.
Okay. Quick sample. Who's on LinkedIn here? LinkedIn. You guys should gonna sign up. You gotta sign up. Except you are Elon Musk, Bill Gates, or Jimmy. So it's an easy avenue for you to see the kind of people, see the kind of jobs you want to do in the future. And also, for example, if you're interested in being a permanent engineer, this is the best example I have. Plug in the skills there. All right. Special door if I get another sense. So if you're interested in thermal engineering, you can go to LinkedIn, start thermal engineers, then follow people in companies you're interested in. They follow you back and I'm sophomore, I'm interested in these, I'm looking for something very direct. Yeah, like I've gotten a lot of issues like that.
For me, it's getting over it's not as genuine, but I